Hello. Today I'll be looking into the balance tree for Dragonflight. Now, I think that this tree is done really, really well. You have a lot of points to just go and grab whatever you want. Maybe there are a couple things that could be shifted around. For other classes like Moonkin, you have the ability to just get whatever utility you want. You have Cyclone here, Hibernate, Typhoon, and then Mass Entangle and Vortex. You know, with Moonkin, you can basically get any utility. For other classes, it might be more difficult, but as Moonkin, I like it. Also, as another preference, like, I don't think I could ever get this, but is that really needed? No, not really. And if I really wanted it, I can spec out of that and then boom, grab it like that. But right now, this build is just generic in survivability and helping you survive. So let's go into it. You have Starfire, Star Surge, Moonkin, generic, hit damage, range, Sunfire, improved Sunfire. I think this should be coupled up with Sunfire and maybe add like Solar Beam over here. Um, this is basic healing stuff. Normally, I don't think I would really get these two because when I play Balance, I don't cast Rejuve, I don't cast Swift Mend, I don't cast. Well, this is if it's needed, it's niche. That's what I was saying. Like maybe utility could be more in the center. Um, but I really want this one just to increase healing taken and done. I think that's really nice. But this is not a max healing build. This is just generic all around. Gives you the best of both worlds. I don't really want these talents, but you just have to get them to get going to reduce damage taken. That's big. Same with Soothe. Building it, that's kind of awkward if you don't need it. And then you get Stampeding Roar, which is definitely given. Uh, like Hera's teachings is really good. I really like Renewal because it's like a health stone every minute and a half, and it's just a really good talent to run. Ursock's Endurance gives you a small shield now when you bar skin. You get Incap Roar and Mighty Bash now as balanced, like that's ridiculous. How often would you probably use them? Maybe not as much because I think it shifts you into bear form. So it's kind of a little awkward, but you could do it. Wellhoned Instincts is a given you need. And Fur I think will be a slight damage gain on the beginning of a pull of like a raid boss. Because if you're in like feral form, let's say, or just base form, for like 20 seconds and then you switch into Moonkin like right as like the countdown's at 1 and you can fire maybe a couple Star Surgers off, get some free damage, not using Astral Power. Yeah, a slight DPS upgrade, nothing crazy. It could also be used in the healing kit now. So overall, I think the talent tree is done really well. You know, Nothing too big to complain about, just a small shifts in a couple things could make the tree a little bit better. But otherwise, I think it's great. Now, this is what it would look like if you were going more of the Heart of the Wild setup for raid and you needed to be like an off healer for something like Sun King, prime example. They were like, yo, we need more healing, and boom, this is the build. You get everything for healing, and if you really wanted to, you can spec off something else and go here. But generically, this is your best build path for healing. I don't really want to look into it too much. And that's the other thing I want to bring up. Same with Innervate. I think Innervate is really powerful, but it's also really far down in the tree. I think it's one of those utility ones that should be up here. I know that it's Moonkin specific, so maybe have it branch off of like Sunfire or something just to make it like more notably over here. Because but healers also get Moon Innervate actually as well. I don't know, maybe make it branch off like these two could connect into Innervate or something. I think that would be good. And like shift this over a little bit and then have Solar Beam here. I think that could be a cool idea. And the reason why I say that is, you're most likely probably always going to be taking Innervate to help your healers. But yeah, that's the generic build. I don't have too much to say. I really like it. Anything I say is just small changes. Is it really needed? Probably not. I'm very happy with the way it looks. But let's go into the actual tree. I want to start by saying is I like the ideas. I like the idea behind a lot of the concepts of this tree, but I do not like the way everything was positioned. And for like I was saying before, I wish Solar Beam was not here. I would two options Solar Beam could be. Solar Beam could be a branch off improved eclipse, go over here, then go down for improved, or it could just be on that base tree. I think those two options would be well, and I think that's a major change I would take. But let's just go into a couple of the builds and I'll talk about different things. Each spell at the end. So this one is my generic, you know, you run, you get Syzygy, you get Orbit Breaker, you get New Moon. It's the boom, boom, moon, kaboom combo. It's raining moons, essentially. This thing's ticking, everything's going off, just moons are raining from the skies. It's complete chaos. So if you want to see moons constantly, I think this is the build for you. Then there's a whole option. Maybe New Moon isn't that good to have anymore. Maybe putting Adaptive Swarm is on to buff your dot damage. Like, that might be better, so you can switch New Moon for Adaptive Swarm. Like, what if you don't want to reduce Starfall and Star Surge damage? Then you can go into one of the blessings and get Oneth's Clear Vision, which is every time you Star Surge and Starfall, you have a chance to make the other one free. This could be, right here, this could be your best dungeon build. Syzygy might change to Pulsar, but even then, couple things. Then you could also do this one, and I think this one might be BIS for single target. Not too sure, and the reason why I think it might be BIS is because you got Boat, you got Convoke, and you got Pulsar. So you always have Celestial Alignment for when you Convoke, and you also have Boat for the crit. So I think it's a very, very nice synergy with everything working together. So this might be your best single target build. I know this is Celestial Alignment, but please, that is Convoke. But then maybe, Improved isn't that great, Improved makes you do one more Star Surge or two more. Maybe it's not that much, but then you just talent into Orbit Breaker. Maybe Orbit Breaker is a lot better than having this point, So this one is an interesting setup. So I really like Timeworn Dreambinder for single target, because that was very close to simming in 9.2, but no one really ran it, because if you did more DPS, I don't know if people knew, but you did more DPS in a burst window with it, but you fell off more because you didn't have Pulsar. So I think it's interesting that you can get Pulsar and Timeworn, so maybe they could have unique interactions with each other, and then the same thing goes for this. Maybe you can take Fury, New Moon, or Orbit Breaker, just one of those talents at the bottom, switch it out, and see what happens. And then another combo you could try doing is, instead of getting rid of these AoE things and getting Gul'dan, that's also another possibility of a talent tree you can see yourself going into. The reason why I like the tree and don't like the tree, there are a lot of options for you. There are a lot of good options. There's a lot, but there's two really, really bad options, and they feel really, really bad. I do not like that these two are 3 points. It feels really, really bad to get into them. If these were 2, it might feel a lot better. But as right now, they hurt to kind of get into. And everything's kind of all out of whack. Like, what I showed you are builds that could work, but then let me go into it on a base scale. Eclipse is whatever, improved Eclipse is whatever, Nature's Balance is needed, Starfall you have to get, Celestial Alignment, improved Moonfire. I wish this was 1 point. If this was 1 point, that would help out with a lot of stuff. Same with that, or maybe this. And improved Star Surge, I wish it was up here. I wish improved Moonkin form, what I would have done, have it branched off from Moonfire, and then put Star Surge right here. And I'd put Solar Beam branching out from Eclipse. I think that would be a cool lure design idea. That way, you don't have to go Starfall into AoE if you really, really don't want to. But if that were the case too, Timeworn Dreambinder is also a pretty big single target, so I'd shift around the bottom a little bit to where you can get it if you go to the right side of the tree, or maybe at least down the center of the tree. Then you have Shooting Stars, which is big for single target, same with Starlord, giving you haste when you Star Surge, extending your Celestial Alignment. Umbral Intensity increases the damage of Wrath and Starfire in your Eclipses in the beginning. It was a conduit, same with Stellar Inspiration. Neither of them were impactful. I wish they kind of just weren't in the tree altogether, or maybe even 1 point. They feel horrible to build into. I could replace that with Twin Moons or Stellar Flare or Soul of the Forest is up here any day of the week. I don't want to build into this. I would not that I would never, if I had spare points, I could pick one or the other. But you're giving up a lot of stuff for these talents, and it feels really bad. Going over here, this is AoE stuff. Starfall extends Moonfire and Sunfire. I'd have that to the side. I don't really care about extending my dots. This one is a big one, which could be up more. Stellar Drift, you can get increased Starfall damage. and you can move while casting. I think this one should be up here and then have improved Starfall branch off of it, and then this Starfall can branch down into this. I think shifting the entire bottom row around is really going to be make or break for this tree. I think that would help a lot. And then here's another big question. Goldrin, is that going to be really impactful? Do we need it? Do we not need it? The fact that I have to, if I'm min-maxing for single target, I have to get Solar Beam, but what if the fight doesn't require Solar Beam? You know, it's one of those, like, do I get this? Do I get that? Kind of just weird where everything is placed, and especially this, I have Warrior Balloon. I think that is a decent DPS increase if you don't know what you're building. But at the same time, you might... I lied. Because you run out of points. You have 19, so you can't continue. Because I was going to say, you take one off here, you put one at the bottom, but I just bonked the entire bottom of the tree. And the reason why I bonked the entire bottom of the tree is because I don't want to build Umbral Intensity. That's my whole point. Sorry, I'll just keep going. Solstice is that you cast Shooting Stars more often. Syzygy and Pulsar, you know, both are really good in their own ways. You still get alignment every 3 minutes, so how good Syzygy is actually going to be might be up for question. Like, it might not be good at all. It might just be bait. So that's why I say Pulsar is probably usually always better. Fear of the Skies is a great single target. You got your Convoke and Incarn. Sucks that they're tied together. Convoke, you know, is generic. That should be good single target. I mean, like, it might not even sim to be good. You know, and if it doesn't sim to be good with Boat in the other one, then Convoke might just be pointless. Improved Convoke, it makes it better. So maybe this can be good for it. Maybe not. But let's go more into it. Soul of the Forest increases your Starfire's damage and Eclipse. This one's really good for dungeons, especially if you're running this. It really increases your Starfire damage. Now, this is why I start to say it's a little bit weird, is because, so this is the AoE side. So this one reduces Star Surge and Starfall cost, and this is New Moon and Fury, which is great for generating Astral Power and dealing some damage. And then you got this one, Timeworn, which is a stacking thing. Also, I should say, I wish Timeworn lasts a little bit longer, because this lasts 15 seconds, and this only lasts 5. I think that feels really bad, and it feels bad to keep up the stacks on that. That's my opinion on that one. But like I said, Onus Clear Vision might be good for dungeons just to have as like a random thing. Like, you saw all the builds I had before, just random ideas, random things thrown together. That's why I like the build, or I like this tree, because you have a lot of to play with. We don't really know the damage outputs. We don't know the numbers, so we don't know what's good right now. To be honest, I don't think any portion of the tree is organized correctly. But I do like a lot of the spells. There's only 2 things I don't like, and that's Solar Beam, Stellar Inspiration, and Umbral Intensity. All of them just feel horrible. Stellar Flare and 2 Moons, I really want them, but if you want any bit of AoE, it kind of sucks, because you're forced to go into Stellar Inspiration for Soul of the Forest. Unless Starfire ends up not doing as much damage as I'm predicting. I think Solar of the Forest could be up more. I think you could swap these 2 positions, you know? Put Soul of the Forest right here, and if you put Twin Moons and Stellar Flare right here, I think I'd be okay. I think I'd actually be happy if that's what the pathing of this tree was. Maybe Umbral Infusion should be right here, and Timeworn and this node should be over here, and Blessing should be over here. I think Blessings should be an option. I don't like speccing into it. It does help, but it's very minor, and it feels weird to grab in the New Moon and Full Moon. You know, debatable on which one is going to be better. Convoke, you know, this whole setup where you just go is straightforward into Convoke. Furies does help with more single target damage. It's a little awkward that it builds into Convoke, but, you know, I'm not too mad about this. Like I said, if these 2 were swapped, I think that would be good. Circle of Life and Death, you know, like I said, this is a whole dot perspective. These ones, especially with Adaptive Swarm, that's dots, boats, crits with Convoke and Pulsar. I don't know. I like, what I was thinking of was creating my own chart, but for now, you know, that's just how I feel about it. There are a lot of options you can test. There are a lot of different things you can play with, and I think that's really cool. It just feels a little bit janky, because we don't know the DPS outlook. And I don't like the idea of talenting into stuff that does not benefit me in the slightest. which is these two, and Solar Beam. If those two were reworked and changed, and this was brought into the second talent tree, I think I'd be a lot happier with the build. Other than that, I love the talent choices. I love the ideas. I love them bringing back Orbit Breaker. I think the entire talents, I think almost every talent besides those two are like phenomenal in the tree. Maybe reducing this to 1 point, this to 1 point, bringing Solar Beam up here, improve Star Surge over here, Moon Conform over here. I think that could be a cool concept. You know, unless they might be going for like an art design of the trees. Maybe that's why they look like this. What it kind of looks like. But hey, I mean, as long as you can pick a setup and Druid can be like good with the other classes and I wouldn't hate playing it, I'd be happy. Like going Convoke Boat into Pulsar, it doesn't seem that fun to me for the reason as that's just a generic build that we used to go. But it would have been nice to actually been able to go Timeworn with. If you want to go Timeworn for single target, you have to go the AoE route. You have to get in Starfall and Stellar Drift, like, and then in a Blessing. And I think that's why I dislike that side of the tree too, is because I really want that to try that for single target, but it's locked behind AoE, which kind of sucks. Same with this. Umbral Infusion is great for single target as well. It's good for AoE also, but it's locked behind. This one isn't locked behind AoE though, but it's locked behind this talent, which kind of sucks. I just think an overall reshuffling from ground up of these talents would do the tree justice. I think they have a very good idea and core concepts of everything, but it would be nice to run Timeworn with maybe a Fury, with um like Orbit Breaker. I think that could be a cool lineup. Or maybe like if you like dots more, you know what I mean? Stellar Flare, Adaptive, Circle, um, Pulsar, and then maybe something else. I don't know. I don't think you can get this if you go. So if you go this route, you can't go over here. I mean, you can get this, but maybe that's an idea. Going Adaptive into Timeworn, and then you have 2 more points. And then this is a talent. And this just to get it. One talent. Maybe that. Just hope that Balance is a viable class. Like what they got going. Okay, this is why I say what they got going here is very cool for Balance. They got a very nice idea behind it. I just don't want it to flop as hard as Balance was in Sepulcher. Because I mained it for Castle and Sanctum, and I felt good playing it. But it felt really bad to play it in Sepulcher. So hopefully they can work some stuff out and then it'll feel a lot better. I think with certain playstyles it'll feel good, but otherwise there's just so many options you can pick from, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Like I was watching a video of people talking about it, and they could not formulate one clear path, which is good, but it's also bad. It was like, how do you not know what you want for single target? How do you not know what you want for AoE? And the reason for that is because you have to go into AoE to get single target, and then you go into single target to get AoE. And I just think a more clear and precise path will be better. Otherwise, I do look forward to playing these talents in Dragonflight. Excited to try them out. Guardian Tree was a great example. It was a great tree. You can go and pick whatever you want and have fun, slight changes. I don't know about other classes, but this is definitely, if it is left like this is going to be one of the classes that is going to have to be played with a lot to figure out what is the best talents to pick and for what situation, which is cool. But like for a while, if people don't find the right talents, it could just be a wash. But hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's really fun. It sounds really fun. I like Torghast abilities in here. I love that. I like getting Convoke again. I like Adaptive Swarm or both, Pulsar, Syzygy, Timeworn. A lot of the cool stuff I like in here. It feels like there's just so much and I just don't know what to do. Yeah, that's my take on it. I like it. Will Goldrin do a lot of damage? I don't know. Will the moons do a lot of damage? I don't know. Will improved Convoke be worth it? Who knows? There's just like a lot of things up for grabs. Yeah, that's my full opinions. I'm sorry that it was so scattered, but there's just so much going on in this tree. If you have any ideas or opinions on any of the things I put or like what you think is best, comment down below. Like, this build is actually probably best. I like this guy, I like that one. There's a lot of different options. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I didn't really know what I was talking about for like the last 30 minutes, but yeah, that's the balance tree. It's just confusing. There's a lot going on, and you build into things you don't want to build into, but there are a lot of good talents in the tree. So it just feels bad. So, and you can't really get what you really want. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe I'll make another one once Dragonflight comes closer, and then maybe if they update it. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.